Well, excuse me, princess.
Everybody, welcome to Scribble Thoughts, where I just ramble or rank or really do whatever I want on the internet. And today we're really just thinking about Zelda games. So today we're gonna rank basically the top Zelda games. We're just gonna put them in a tier list and see kind of what happens. Um so yeah, basically I'm just gonna rank them through S to D with adding a new tier because actually just kind of glossing over this, I am gonna add one more tier. Add a row below. We're gonna name it the pink tier. No. What'd I do? A, B, C. No, this goes up. C, D. This tier is gonna be never played. Now, you're gonna see which games I never played, and honestly, a lot of you might agree with me. Let's do it. All right, so we're just gonna go down the list, and we're just gonna have a good time. So have fun. And if I disagree with one of your opinions, then let me know in the comments. I'm sure we're gonna have some different opinions. So, first game, The Legend of Zelda, the original Legend of Zelda. A lot of people love this game, and I get why. For me, the time I was born and started playing games, this game just never clicked to me. And it's a game I can appreciate for sure. And it's a game I think even holds up in the sense of like what it was and what it is. I personally do not care for it. I don't care for the story. That obviously it's the first game. I get they're figuring it out. They're figuring out what it was and all that. I just it just never clicked with me. I have beaten it. It is a game I have beaten. I think when it came to the 3DS Virtual Console, I did actively seek out to beat it. So I have beaten the original Legend of Zelda. So I'm gonna put that C. I appreciate it. It's difficult. It's very difficult, and and I only play. I'm gonna admit it. I played on 3DS so I can have the save states. So I did use save states. But again, it's what started the franchise. So I appreciate it for that, and I'm not gonna say it's a bad game. It just doesn't click with me as much as other people. The next game on the list is Adventure of Link. Now this game I have never beaten. And I don't like this game. I think this game overcomplicates Zelda, and this is only the second game in the franchise. I get it, but I just don't like this game. I have tried playing this game a lot of times from the 3DS. I also tried to play it on Wii U, and I think I tried to play it again on Switch when the NES. Yes, I was on a trip when the NES games dropped. On my plane ride, I tried playing. I just can't. I just think it's boring. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think Adventure Link is a good game, and I think that's a pretty common topic or common opinion. I mean, but there are people I know out there that just love this game. I would actually be interested if they remade this game. It would be ballsy for sure. It would be something like no one really wants this, but I always thought it would be interesting to go back and redo this game because I think if you just tweak up a bunch of things, I feel like people would appreciate it now. The fact that it was the second game in the franchise, like I feel like it shook too many things, like it shook it up too much, and we'll see in the next game where they kind of found their footing. So I feel like I don't know. I feel like it would do well nowadays. I think they would just have to go back, polish it up, and tweak it a little. The idea of a 2D side scroller for Zelda, I think, isn't a bad idea. I just think it was executed poorly in this game, and maybe that kind of just they never went back and did it again. So I don't know. Next game, Link to the Past. I have a confession. I have never beaten Link to the Past. Why? I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't know why. I have played through this game many times. I've just never gotten to the end. That being said, I do like the game. It's not that I don't like the game. It's just that things come up and I just never sat down and beaten it. I will beat it one day. It is definitely a game that I'm like, yeah, I'll beat it. And I know this probably takes my whole credibility of this Zelda list just because I haven't beat this game. But I promise you, you can check my Switch stats. I put so much time into this game, but every time I stop, like let's say like I play 20 hours in, I stop. I'm like, when I start to pick it up again, I'm like, well, I can't just start from here. I gotta start all over. And then I kind of just rinse and repeat. Like I can those first 3 dungeons before the game starts picking up, like I can breeze through that, and then it's just, and it's funny. Like once you get the 3 dungeons, the dark world opens and stuff. I feel like I've beaten all of like the dungeons, just not in one playthrough. I've beaten it like I've done these 2 first because you can do them in any order. So it's a very complicated game, or a complicated relationship. That being said, I love this game. I love I love the premise of this game. I love that it solidified the Zelda formula, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I think that the Zelda formula works. That's why there's so many great games on this list. So yeah, I like this game. I'm gonna put it at A. I know I've never beaten it, but I'm not gonna sit here and act like it doesn't deserve to be up here. I personally think, I love this game. I love this game, and I know I haven't beaten it, but I'm gonna beat it. I promise. In fact, I'm gonna say right here, I'm gonna beat it this year. Anyways, let's talk about peak. Link's Awakening. Link's Awakening, hands down, goes in S tier for me. I love this game. Any excuse I have to talk about this game, I will take it. And lucky for me, I can talk about it right now. Link's Awakening is a game that it doesn't. What I like to the way I explain it to people is this game doesn't have Zelda. There's no Zelda in this. There's no Ganondorf. There's no Master Sword. There's no Hyrule. The 4 component, no Triforce. These components that make a Zelda game. Yet, this game is so dang good. This game shows that Zelda, the Legend of Zelda series, can go beyond what, Link to the Past basically solidified. And I think it's so interesting that this game comes out after Link to the Past, because Link to the Past did such a good job of like, this is what a Zelda game is gonna be. And then they throw this kind of curveball of a game that it is wacky, it's weird, it's dreamlike, because that's the point. It's one of those things where like, it's wacky and weird, but that was the intention, Like it's supposed to feel uncomfortable at some time because that's the point. The game does such a good job at setting up like the atmosphere of like, the end game, and makes you wonder. But I think what really adds to it is just the concept itself. Like it's a game that Zelda's never really there, at least not yet in the series, where Zelda's not really there, shoving cutscenes, in your face and like trying to dissect this amazing story, and like, the games are very like subtle, but really, I think really excel when you kind of sit back and kind of observe and kind of think about the story. And in this game, once you beat the game, the game doesn't make a big fuss about it, but when you sit there and kind of think about what Link's been through, you're kind of like, damn, that's kind of messed up, or that's kind of sad. Like it's super intriguing in my opinion. I love this game, and the dungeons are great, the items are great, the characters are great, the music's great. Ballad of the Windfish is one of my favorite songs of all time in video games, so it's just a good game. And the remake, I don't know if they separate the remakes. The remake, I'm gonna kind of put them next to each other because they're the same game. If you were gonna play one, I recommend the remake. The remake basically just chef's kiss. The remake does everything the original game does, but just with a cuter art style. And it's really good. So Link's Awakening, remake, or the original. The original is on Switch as well, which is awesome. So you have options. Both great games. Highly recommend it. All right, now that we're done talking about peak, let's talk about peak. Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time, it's cliche to say it's an S tier, because it is. I don't think it's better than Link's Awakening. I don't know, that's going to be a controversial opinion. But Ocarina of Time, you cannot sit there and say Ocarina of Time is not a masterpiece. I don't care if you think of it's overrated. I don't care if you think the game does such a good job at evoking a world to you. Yes, there are a lot of problems with this game, and as time grows on, it seems like people are becoming more nitpicky about it. But I think that's what happens when a masterpiece sits. Like, it ages, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think Ocarina of Time is such a good, easy pickup game, and I also think it's a great like first Zelda. Um, what people hate about the game is it's very hand-holding in some sections, or like the combat's not as complex as people want it to be. But I think that's actually very inviting, inviting for new Zelda fans, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think the It's weird that they put the remake for Link's Awakening, but not the Ocarina of Time. The Ocarina of Time 3D remake on Switch, or remaster, whatever you call it. I guess it was a remaster. Um, I think that's my preferred way of playing Ocarina of Time in general. But Ocarina of Time, great game, and I think the story is so like good, but also easy to digest. Like, it's a simple story that works. It's very like it's very Pixar. I'm not gonna compare it to like a Pixar movie, but in the sense where like it's not like this complex, you know, Emmy winning, Emmy winning story. But it's such a simple story that it sticks, and it it's just really good. It's a really good story. That's what I'm trying to say. Um, and for Zelda lore people like me, it's basically the Zelda game where like, bunch of lore and timeline splits happen. Like, it just kind of gives it all, in my opinion. And also the music. The music is god tier. One of the best soundtracks in gaming in general. So like, Ocarina of Time, such a great game. That being said, Majora's Mask is better than all these. That's right, Majora's Mask is S. Now, this is a hot topic, I think. Because when people talk about Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, they use the same engine. In fact, they use the same characters. Um, they use a lot of the same assets. A lot of people think Ocarina of Time is better. I'm not saying Ocarina of Time isn't better. Your opinion is valid. But I'm going to say in this instance, it's wrong. I think Majora's Mask is such a great game. It's so great that, spoiler alert, Majora's Mask is in my top 10 games of all time. And you can start kind of pinpointing, if it's going to stay up there or not. Majora's Mask, I think, is just a masterful storytelling game that barely does any storytelling. Kind of like what I was talking about Ocarina of Time. A lot of things are simple, but you can kind of... and Link's Awakening, to be honest. Both games are simple. I have a splinter on my knuckle. Every time I hit it, I feel... not the point. Majora's Mask is so interesting because the theories around it, and the storytelling, and like the interpretation, and kind of what the game wants you to think, I think is so interesting. There are so many, it's a dark game too. Like, this is the game I wish Nintendo kind of tapped into more. Like, they have a really good sense of darkness without like, how do I say this? Like, this game is still a kid's game. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's not. You're still a kid running around doing kid things, but the game does such a good job at, kind of progressing, and, you interacting with these characters that are just like on the verge of like the end of the world. Like, this game plays with time in such a cool way, where Ocarina of Time set up time travel and like, progression of time, and it set it up. But Majora's Mask rolls with it and kind of just, makes it its whole gimmick. So Majora's Mask is such a fantastic game, and I haven't even talked about the masks themselves. Like, that's a whole nother layer of complexity of like, it's such a good game. Majora's Mask is a hard game to recommend. Majora's Mask was my first Zelda game ever, and as a kid, I hated it, and it actually made me hate Zelda for a few years until I came back and tried other games, and eventually, when the 3D remake came out for Majora's Mask, that was my first time playing it, and I fell in love. And then I played the N64 version, and I found out that version is way better. So go play that version. Yeah, such a great game. Highly recommend it. Majora's Mask, great game. Water break. My throat. Okay. Next game. Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons. I have never played these games. I actually have these games on 3DS. I guess I have played them. I played like maybe an hour, like one of them. But I never touched them. I really don't know what they're about. I think they're the sequel, timeline wise. I believe they're the sequel to Link's Awakening. So it's the same Link. That Link, honestly, that Link goes on like 5 adventures. I think that Link's crazy. I heard they're great, and honestly, I'm surprised. And maybe they still will. I'm surprised they haven't remade them with the Link's Awakening style, since it's the same Link. I feel like they can get away with that, and I don't know if they can get away with that now with Echoes of Wisdom existing. But I'll still be down. I think people would still be okay with it. I mean, people really like the Link's Awakening remakes art style so much. Like, I think remake these, you know? Make them one game and then you choose a version. I don't know if Nintendo would do that. Or they can sell 2 versions. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you can sell 2 versions of a Zelda game. I think they might have gotten away with that on the Game Boy, but we live in an era where like people are really stingy about that, and I feel like the only person that can get, or the only company that can get away with that is Pokemon. And even Pokemon, people question it sometimes. So, like, I don't know. Make it one game, and you just choose a version, I guess. Because there's also, I believe there's also, like, compatibility where, like, you get special dungeons and stuff. Yeah, I don't know how this game works, but I've heard it's great. But, yeah, never played it, so I'm not going to rank it. 4 Swords. So, I believe this is... this is the... Okay, yeah, I played this one. So, 4 Swords... Don't yell at me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe this 4 Swords is the one that Link to the Past Game Boy game got. And this is the one they brought over to the DSi years later for free for like the 25th anniversary or something. So I have played that one. I don't know if you can beat 4 Swords, but me and my friends, since it was on the DSi for free, we got far in it. We loved that game. So I'm not gonna rank it as like, oh, I beat the game, best game ever. I'm just gonna rank it how fun it was, because again, we did put a lot of hours in that game, similar to like A Link to the Past, where like I feel like if you put enough hours into a game, you can kind of gauge, you know, how good a game is. 4 Swords, I love 4 Swords. I'm gonna put 4 Swords at B. I think 4 Swords is such a cool idea. I wish they kind of rolled with it more. I know they tried other multiplayer Zelda games, but I feel like they just. We have a console now that is thriving off multiplayer. I just wish they leaned more into it. I feel like they had such cool ideas. Kind of like, again, to Adventure of Link, where like they tried this idea and it didn't work, but I just don't think that idea worked at the time. I wish they kind of tried again and like, you know what? I think, you know, it'll work this time. But again, we're going to talk about it later, but with Echoes of Wisdom, I'm assuming they're ready to try more experimental things, but we'll get there when we get there. Alright, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. So, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker was my first official Zelda game that I beat. And boy, oh boy, do I love it. I will say, Wind Waker over the years has actually gone down my list. Not because it's a bad game, but I just think other games just have gone up on my list. I love everything about Wind Waker, except this is gonna get the pitchforks out. I don't really care for the water. Hear me out. The water idea is cool, but once you kind of get sailing, it's a lot of waiting. And I don't think that's a hot take. I think the waiting aspect of the game is the least fun. Again, the water's cool, like the idea. The King of Red Lions as a character is cool. The idea that Hyrule flooded is interesting. But when you look at a map, you're like, this is how big the map is. And like 98% of it's water. It's like, is that really like a sell in the game? Because that doesn't really interest me. Oh, but look at all these islands. Like, yeah, but a lot of these islands are like this big. Like they're just rocks or something. Like they're not interesting. You do have your interesting islands, like Outset Island and all that. But they're not all Outset Island. You know what I mean? Like they're not all well-developed island. There's like a few little towns and, you know, the dungeons here and there. There's also not a lot of dungeons in the game. There's a lot of problems with the game. The Wind Waker HD remake fixes a lot of those problems, but it kind of just makes it doesn't add more stuff. It cuts things shorter, which kind of just shows the original game just had pacing issues. Like the remake doesn't fix anything other than, hey, you can get to island faster because we have the faster sail, or the Triforce quest is like easier now because it was tedious in the original. Like, you know what I mean? Like it really just kind of fixes the issues, but kind of amplifies the, the game being, not, you know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense, but that being said, I still love Wind Waker. I'm gonna put it in A tier. I still think it's a great game. I love Toon Link. This is the game Toon Link was born in, and I love Toon Link. I think the story is actually really good too. This game is probably, well, there's gonna be another game we're gonna talk about, but this game is a sequel to Ocarina of Time, and I think that's really cool. It mentions the hero of time, like it does such a great job of like, this is what happened, and I think that's cool. I wish more Zelda games did that. Like, not often do you hear a Zelda game talk about another Link, and this game does it, even though they don't really tell Toon Link about it. Like, the game's legend of, kind of, it's there. Actually, I guess the grandma talks about it. She talks about like the hero's legend. I don't know. Great game. Love it. Nintendo, bring that game to Switch, please, or Switch 2. I don't care. Four Swords Adventure. I have never played, but I assume it's just as good as Four Swords. But I'm not gonna rank it. This is the game on GameCube that you needed like 4 Game Boys for. That's an expensive game to play, let me tell you. The Minish Cap. Oh, the Minish Cap I actually beat for the first time last year on my Switch. And I liked it. How much did I like it though? I want to put Minish Cap at C. I think it's a fine game. I have a few critiques with it. One, I don't know. I guess I don't really have critiques. I didn't care. I didn't love it like others other games. I just thought it was fine. For a handheld, actually, looking at this list for a handheld, it's probably my spoiler alert, but it's probably my second favorite handheld game. So it's good in that aspect. I think it's really interesting Capcom made it. If you didn't know, Capcom made Minish Cap. I also don't like that they reused a lot of music. I know there's a lot of original songs, but like they used a lot of Ocarina of Time songs. It's really weird. I think it's weird. But it's like it's in that Game Boy font, which honestly, you'd think that would be a bad thing because the songs technically sound better, but I actually think it adds a little bit of charm, which is kind of funny. So I don't know. Minish Cap, I don't really have much to say about it. It's fine. This isn't a knock towards the game, more towards my Zelda lore nerdness. This game is after Skyward Sword, and it mentions Sky People, but because it wasn't made while Skyward Sword was made, so like it's weird. Like I think the Zelda timeline assumes that it's talking about them. I don't know. I hate that it doesn't. I get why it doesn't. I'm going off topic. Let's get serious again. Twilight freaking Princess. So, Twilight Princess. When I first played it, it was right here, and then I played it again. It was right here, and then it came to Wii U, and I'm like, I need to play this game again. And then it went to this, and then I played it like 3 years ago. And it went like this. Got higher. And then higher. And higher. And it finally passed Wind Waker. And that's when I knew, oh my god, this is getting serious. Twilight Princess is such a good game. So good. Scoring an S. I think Twilight Princess... First of all, Twilight Princess had just been going up my list constantly over the years. Every time I play that game, I think I love it more and more and more. And I might be asking, why, Randy? Why do you love it more and more and more? And the answer is, I don't know. I don't know. Just kidding, I do know. Twilight Princess, I think, is just epic. And I don't think a lot of Zelda games try to be epic in that way. This game, first of all, controversy-wise, this game came out after Wind Waker. Wind Waker originally was met with, like, poor sales and like I think it got high reception still, but like fans weren't happy with Wind Waker. Fans thought Wind Waker like, oh no, Zelda's going cartoony, like it's over, game over. Twilight Princess was 100% a response to that. You can tell in every aspect. It's mature, it's darker, it's epic, it's, you know, Link. Look at Link in the picture. Look at Link in Wind Waker. He's all happy on his boat, and then literally they followed up with angry Link with a sword. Like, they were really trying hard to like encapsulate this emo era Link, you know, that dark, edgy, and now he's a wolf, you know, type of thing. And I think back then people kind of like people liked it. I think people really enjoyed it. And then as time, people like that was really a corrective move on. But I don't see it as, I mean, I just see it as Zelda being Zelda. I think Zelda's so cool. You look at this list of games, like they can do a bunch of art styles and kind of get away with it, like, you know. And I think that shows a good, healthy franchise where they can kind of diversify what they can do. And Twilight Princess, you know, the dungeons in this game are amazing. The music in this game, even though I think it's called MIDI, like it's not orchestrated, like it still has great music. Like I do wish in the remake they orchestrated it, but orchestrated. But yeah, I love Twilight Princess. There's so many epic moments in this game, like, you know, when Link hits the pig monster on the bridge of Eldin, and like he's riding the horse, and then there's no reason why Link has to do this. This is what I mean by epic. Like the camera pans at him in slow motion. He does the sword in the air, and like Epona's like on one leg, like dancing. Like it's so epic. Or like when the kid like protects the girl and like pushes the girl out of the way from those bulls, and then like Link comes riding in the horse like that. Like moments like that, like there's no reason why they have to be in that game, but I am so glad they are. And it's such a, you know, it's such a good game, and I really hope it comes to Switch soon so people can experience it, because honestly it's a game I think people don't realize how good it is. Same thing with Wind Waker. Like these games kind of just got lost in time, and you could say like, oh, but they were in Wii U, but that was a dead system, so like not a lot of people got to play them. You know, we now live in an era where Switch is thriving, Zelda is thriving. I think people deserve to play these games. All right, enough with Twilight Princess. Love that game. Now let's talk about Phantom Hourglass. I'm gonna cut it short. I don't like the DS games. That's right, I don't like them. I don't like Phantom Hourglass. I think Spirit Tracks is better. In fact, I think it's so better that I'm gonna put it. I'm looking at this list. Yeah, that's right. I'll leave Zelda 1 up right there. That's about right. Spirit Tracks I like better because it has a choo-choo train, and I like choo-choo trains. But the choo-choo train could stay. Phantom Hourglass kind of goes the same problem with Wind Waker, but you know, rather than you waiting on a TV with like epic music and pretty graphics, you're looking on your DS screen on a smaller boat. Like I don't know. I guess it's technically bigger, but I don't really care for Phantom Hourglass. And Spirit. I just don't like the touch controls. Spirit Tracks felt a little bit more comfortable because like you control the train. Like I don't know. I don't really have much to say about it. The last time I played them was like what, 2008, 2010, whenever these games came out. I remember getting it for Christmas. I played them. I beat them, put them in their boxes, and probably never touched them again. Sorry if you hate the DS games, but I feel like there's not a lot of. Although I will say I do like that it's a trilogy for Wind Waker because they are all sequels to each other. That's cool. So I like that Toon Link has a trilogy. But that's probably the only fun thing I can say about the DS games. All right. Next game, Skyward Sword. Here's the thing. Me and Skyward Sword, we have a complicated relationship. I have played this game once. And during that playthrough, I loved it. I loved it. Over the years, I've heard so many complaints about Skyward Sword where I'm like, do I want to play it again? Do I want to play it again? I'm scared to play it again because I don't think I'm going to like it again. Or I don't think I'm going to like it. I'm going to put Skyward Sword right here. No, I'm going to put Skyward Sword Yeah, I'm gonna put Skyward Sword right there. I'm gonna put Skyward Sword right there. I think it's an A game. But I don't know. People say, so let me kind of break it down for you. People say, oh my god, I hate the motion controls. But when I played it, I didn't mind the motion controls at all. I didn't. People don't like like all the dialogue, but I remember actually enjoying the dialogue because the dialogue's fun, the story's really good. People didn't like how it was linear, but I actually like a linear game, and I know Zelda's kind of not linear, but I didn't mind the change of pace. You know what I mean? Oh, you return to old dungeons, but yeah, you return to old dungeons. I just felt like they did it. I just feel like all the complaints. I'm like, wow, I didn't bug me as much. But I gotta be honest. I gotta be honest with you. Skyward Sword was my first big Zelda release. I think the first official new Zelda was Spirit Tracks, I believe. I think that came out 2009. I don't know why I would remember that. And then Skyward Sword came out in 2011. This was my first big Zelda game. This was the hyped one. This was the one like, oh dude, 3D Zelda. At this point, I've played Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. Ocarina of Time came out in 2010 for the 3DS, so I played that. So I had a good dose of 3D Zeldas under my belt. So I was ready for this new Zelda game. This Zelda game, I was looking at all the press tours and E3 conferences. Like, I was hyped for this game. So when I played it, did I let the hype consume me and let that, make me enjoy the game more than other Zelda games? Maybe. But that's the thing. I enjoyed it. I remember finishing up that game. Like, I had friends, I ditched them all for like a week or two because I was just obsessed with this game. And I really do feel like, even though the hype kind of consumed me, there's a point where like hype will die out. So clearly I was just enjoying the game for what it was. So I don't really know what to say about this game. I did buy the HD remake on Switch. I played like an hour of it, and I actually didn't mind the controls. I actually like that you can use an actual controller. But first of all, I know Skyward Sword's a big time investment, so I'm like, I don't have time for this right now. I do want to go back to it. Obviously, I paid for it, so I should play it. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I'm scared to replay it because I don't want it to go down. I will say, even if I don't like the game for whatever reasons, I will stand by the story of this game. I think is amazing. I love that it's like an origin story for so many Zelda staples, like the Master Sword and Zelda herself and Link. Like, I think that's super cool. And I don't think, no matter how you feel about the game, you can take that away from the game. And then, the music in this game was the first Zelda game for orchestrated music. It kickstarted the whole Zelda concerts back in the day that I went to. Like, there's just so much hype around this game for me that I think that's why it's so high. Again, I will play it one day, and I'm sure this will adjust in some way, but maybe it'll go up even more. So I don't know. Shout out to Skyward Sword for making little old Randy excited. All right, next, Link Between Worlds. You might be thinking, oh, you never beat Link to the Past. You definitely never beat Link Between Worlds. That's where you're wrong, fan, person, boy. Link Between Worlds, I love this game. I love it, and I hate that it's stuck on 3DS because, to be frank, I don't ever want to touch my 3DS again. And this is a game that's only on 3DS, and it might always only be on 3DS, if I'm being honest. But this game works so well on 3DS. Link Between Worlds is right here. And I'm not gonna lie. It's just behind Wind Waker, like very so slightly. Link Between Worlds is such a cool game because it reimagines Link to the Past in a new light and a new era. But the gimmick of the game, oh my gosh. The gimmick of the game of just turning 2D and walking on a wall is so genius and so fun. Like, gimmicks could be gimmicks. And like Skyward Sword's motion controls. And in that sense, that gimmick could be boring sometimes or frustrating. Twilight Princess's gimmick of being a wolf, as cool as being a wolf is, it can be kind of boring sometimes. Wind Waker's gimmick of sailing the sea is a cool concept. But it can kind of be boring sometimes. Turning 2D and going through walls and stuff, to me, never gets boring. It's always a great puzzle solver. It's always a great way to see the world from a different point of view. I love that gimmick. I think it's so cool. I'm glad they haven't brought it back because it makes this game very unique. And some of the boss fights in this game, the way that it uses the gimmick is very cool. Like when the guy uses the shield and then you get on the shield. I think that's cool. I think that's such a cool way to use that gimmick. Like, you know? So, shout out to Link Between Worlds. I love this game. It was honestly probably... Nah, that's not right. I was going to say it was my first Zelda game that I 100%ed, but that's definitely not true. I think 100% of all these Zelda games we put on the list so far. Well, most of them at least. Yeah, Link Between Worlds. I really hope it gets a port to Switch one day. Because I would love to replay that. Again, I would replay it. I just don't want to play my 3DS, so that's a me problem. Triforce Heroes wants to be Four Swords. I have never played Triforce Heroes. I actually heard it's really good, but you know, no one had it. At least none of my friends had it. Before we get to these big bad boys, I'm gonna get rid of Tingle games. Tingles I have not played. These are only Japanese exclusive games, I believe. The CDI games I have not played. Thankfully, those are the games that kind of killed the CDI for a lot of people, and those are probably the ones you've seen memes of online. So I haven't played those. I'm gonna go crossbow training next. Crossbow training, barely a Zelda game. That being said, I actually really liked it. Putting crossbow training ahead of Phantom Hourglass might be crazy for some people, but not for me. I remember I spent my allowance to go get the crossbow. I have fun with it. I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty fun game. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I enjoyed my time with crossbow training. In fact, I'm gonna say right here, I wouldn't be mad if they brought it back. I think it's a cool idea. I think it's a cool idea that Link has I don't think Link's ever had a crossbow in any other game. And for those of you who know, it's like a shooter game. It's a shooter game like an arcade style game. I think Link walking around with a crossbow, I thought that was such a cool idea. I'm surprised they've never brought him back with a crossbow. So, whatever. Doing the side games first. Hyrule Warriors. Hyrule Warriors is fine. I think it's better than... Actually... Hyrule Warriors, I think, is better than... Yes, that's gonna... Actually, I think it's better than Spirit Tracks, too. Hyrule Warriors is just a hack and slash game. It's fun. I'm not going to get too in-depth with the story because it's not even canon. So if it's not canon, I personally don't care. All I know is I had fun with all the fanfare and the fan characters and the DLC. I played this game mostly on Wii U. I know the Switch version's better and complete and stuff. I think I bought the Switch version, but I never really played on that. The Wii U one, we were desperate for games, so I was obsessed with this game. Yeah, it was fun. I think it's a cool idea. I kind of wish the story was canon. But I'm not gonna get involved. I'm not gonna get too into it. But Hyrule Warriors, cool idea. I liked it. Cadence of Hyrule. I really like this game. In fact, I know I just put Hyrule Warriors up there. I think Cadence of Hyrule is a top of B. I know that might be crazy because it's technically not even a Zelda game, but it is a Zelda game, and I think it's a really good Zelda game. For those of you who don't know, it's basically first of all, an indie developer made this game, so shout out to them. Don't know the name off the top of my head, but shout out to them. A while back, I did a song spotlight on one of the overworld theme is basically a medley of a bunch of overworld themes from a bunch of Zelda games. Love it. Basically, you're traversing like a Link to the Past type map, but you're going to the beat of the music. Super cool, super intriguing, super unique concept. It is a spin-off of another game called Dancing of the Necro Dance. I don't know, some other, I don't know what it's called. But so it's based off that concept of that game. So it's not like an original game, but plaster Zelda on it. I was sold. I got it. I loved it. It's actually a game I want to play on stream soon. I think it's just that good. Cadence of Hyrule, great game. All right, I'm actually gonna do Echoes of Wisdom next because I want to talk about these three for a while. Echoes of Wisdom, I've talked about a lot. I talked about it in my top 5 short last year. I talked about it when I reviewed it. Echo of Wisdom is a game that I really wanted to love, but I just liked it. So I'm going to put Echoes of Wisdom right there. Yeah, that's about right. That makes sense. Echoes Wisdom is the first game that you play as just Zelda. Well, when the Wand of Gamelon doesn't count, or Zelda's Adventure. But is the first game you just take over. You play, not take over. You play as Zelda. She's the hero of the game. I think that's super cool, and I think it's super unique that she doesn't use a sword. I think it's super unique that she uses basically magic to get her way through the adventure. But I wish they just gave her a sword. What I mean by that is you get a special ability in the game where you become a sword Link. You basically become Girl Link. And I say that because Zelda's basically wearing all of Link's gear. But I wish she kind of just owned it. I wish she kind of just like, no, I have a freaking sword. I can use this too. You know what I mean? Like, why can't she do both? Like, I get that they're trying to, make you do puzzles with Zelda's magic. But I think like in dungeons, for example, what if you just took the sword away during the dungeon? Like, what if she just dropped her sword or something? I don't know. Be dumb, but I don't know. All that's being said, I love the game. I think it's purdy, like a purdy game. The music sounds great. I did mention this in my review. I feel like it does feel like a classic Zelda game, which made me very happy because the games we're going to talk about, although they're good, the classic feel of a Zelda game kind of got lost in that, I think. Yeah, Echo Wisdom. Really fun. Really cute game. I don't know if I would recommend it. With so many good games being on Switch, I don't know if I can recommend it as like a first Zelda game, But still a good game. All right. The big boys. I'm going to need some water for this. Okay. The Breath of the Wild trilogy. Now, I call it a trilogy because all these games are connected. So, let's talk about Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild put Zelda on the map. I love this game, and it's one of those games that I don't think it's the first time playing Breath of the Wild, you will always remember. And I remember, no pun intended, but my breath was taken away from it. It was wild that my breath was taken away. Eh? Why did my headset turn off? Okay, we're still back. Yeah, Breath of the Wild. I don't know what to say about this game. This game does such a good job at, encapsulating adventure. And what really made this game special for me, at least, is it got a lot of my friends on board with Zelda. Zelda, not that it wasn't a popular franchise, but for me, it was a very niche franchise. Like, it was me and like one or two other friends that loved Zelda. And then the rest of the world kind of like respected Zelda. Like, yeah, Zelda's cool, but they never played Zelda. With Breath of the Wild, that all changed. Everybody got a Switch, and everybody got Breath of the Wild. This game outsold Mario. This game outsold Mario Odyssey on Switch to this day still, which is crazy to me. If you told me Zelda was gonna outsell Mario, I think it outsold Mario. I'm pretty sure it outsold Mario. Someone can fact check me. But that's how big this game was. And then, getting Game of the Year, getting 10s across the board, redefining Zelda. Again, this came after Skyward Sword, where the game was linear and very story-driven and it's very handholdy. This game, kind of like Twilight Princess, is kind of a response to that and does the complete opposite, in my opinion. I feel like people don't talk about the comparisons where, like, Zelda reacts to fan feedback really well, it seems. Breath of the Wild did the exact same thing, where, like, oh, you don't like linear? Well, here's the most open game you've ever played. Oh, you didn't like the very, intense, handholdy story? Well, how about we just get rid of the story? You know what I mean? Like they got rid of all like, oh, you didn't like the combat of like wiggling your Wiimote. Well, let's get rid of that and let's do a really complex, weapon system and all. Like it's insane how completely opposite of that. Oh, you like orchestrated music? Well, let's do very little music. Like, the comparisons can go on, but it's so funny how opposite they are. And going back to the game itself, like I think that the game is just such a fun time. The best part about this game was talking to people and hearing their experience with the game, and it was very rare that anyone I talked to had the same experience. Everybody went in a different direction. Everyone did a different dungeon first. Everyone fought a boss a different way. Everybody found different things in the open world. Like it's such a fascinating game to talk about. And it just sucks that I don't think we're gonna ever get, at least I don't think so. We're not gonna have a game like that because now we're in this era of Zelda. Like we kind of expect that. We're gonna see that in the next game. Like we kind of expect that now. So like we want to be blown away in that sense. So Breath of the Wild will always hold a special place in my heart. That being said, put it an A. But I'll explain that in a bit. So the next game is Age of Calamity. So Age of Calamity is a Hyrule Warriors game in the same style as Hyrule Warriors. The game itself is fun. I don't think it's as fun as Hyrule Warriors though, because the game focuses on Breath of the Wild. So you're basically playing as Breath of the Wild characters. Not that I hate Breath of the Wild characters. I love them actually. But I think having a game like this, like coming from Hyrule Warriors, where you had a fanfare of just characters from every game, every timeline, like it just felt like a Smash Brothers of Zelda, and it was awesome. Kind of limiting it to one game, I think, kind of hurts it in the long run because there's only so many iconic characters in these games, and there's also like I don't know. I don't care for it much, but there is one saving grace: the story. The story in this game actually is really intriguing. And I don't even care what Nintendo says. In my head, it's canon. Because this game isn't canon. The game's not in the Zelda timeline or anything. This game does kind of a split timeline. Spoilers for a Hyrule Warriors game. I don't know if anyone cares, but this game does a split timeline where like they kind of fix the Breath of the Wild timeline. Because if I remember correctly, they fix it where like, because they're back in time before the calamity happens, they kind of prevent the calamity. So like Breath of the Wild never happens in that timeline. And I think that's super cool. Like why not make that canon? You guys are all about split timelines. I don't get why that's not canon. And people are saying like, oh, because it wasn't made by Nintendo. But yeah, Minish Cap wasn't either. That's in the timeline. There's no excuse. There's no excuse why. I don't get why, Well, I kind of get why. And I think I'll explain it right now in a second. But the story, I think, is really fun. I think the story is really, and they really leaned in the cutscenes in this game. It kind of shows like Zelda can be very cinematic. So for that, I actually like it a lot more than, I don't know. I'm gonna put it. Maybe I do like it more than Hyrule Warriors. Yeah, I think I just sold myself. So I'm gonna put it ahead of this Hyrule Warriors. I still think it's a C game. I don't think it's like anything to go back to, but there's some, fun things in that game. Shout out to Age of Calamity. So, we had Age of Calamity technically is a sequel to Breath, or is it a prequel? I guess it's a prequel to Breath of the Wild. This is what I'm saying too. If you did the whole canon thing, like it would be a trilogy, and I think that's so cool. Like, yes, the prequel would be preventing the sequel, but like, hey, I don't know. You can just, again, Breath of the Wild came out first, and I don't know if you even want to reference Age of Calamity, but like, if you're explaining it to somebody, like, yes, you prevented the calamity, but Breath of the Wild is like, what if the calamity did happen? And then that would be Breath of the Wild. It's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but whatever. So, the third game in the Breath of the Wild series, whatever. Tears of the Kingdom. So, I'm just going to be frank. I'm going to put it I'm gonna put it. Hold on, let me look at this. Zelda, there's so many good Zelda games. I'm gonna put it right here. Yeah, that's about right. Tears of the Kingdom. Let's talk. Let's talk about two. So, Tears of the Kingdom, I think, is better than Breath of the Wild. Clearly, I think when people bring up that Tears of the Kingdom is this glorified DLC, I just think, first of all, I just don't think they played the game at that point. I think Tears of the Kingdom is a clear sequel to Breath of the Wild, like Majora's Mask is a clear sequel to Ocarina of Time. Yes, it reuses assets. Yes, it reuses characters. Yes, it reuses songs or story beats and all that. Like, but it's still such a different game. First of all, the mechanics of this game are completely different. You can't sit here and tell me, you know, what is it called? Ultra Hand mechanics is DLC. No, it's a whole new physics system. Like, this game just goes beyond, just that. Then you have the Sky Islands, which they're, granted, there's not a lot happening in the sky, but they're still there, and it's enough for me. Like, yeah, something's happening up there. And then you have the underground or the depths, and people say like, oh, well, there's not much to do. It's not. I'm not saying like you can make whole games out of these two things. I'm saying these two elements are added to an already immersive overworld. You know what I mean? Like, they're not there to be like, oh, you can make your own games in the depths. Like, yes, I get it. The depths is a very, and I heard they're like, I remember people saying like, oh, it's like a reversed, opposite, upside down of the overworld. So like, I don't know. I don't remember what the whole mechanic was, but like, I still think that's cool. It's there. It's optional. So like, the dungeons are better in this game. The music's better in this game. The story's better in this game. And all that's better without really losing the sense of freedom. You're still allowed to go wherever you want. You still can do anything wherever. And I still think, I didn't really talk about Breath of the Wild. I think the lack of direction could be kind of a downside for these games. Kind of, again, going back to Echoes of Wisdom, like playing that game, like even though I didn't love it, I did like the familiar feel of the Zelda game. I don't think Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom kind of scratches that itch. For years, I would tell people like, oh, Skyward Sword. Breath of the Wild is such a great game. Oh, you love it? Like, you love Zelda. I'm like, well, it's not a great Zelda game, but it's a great game. You know what I mean? Like, I get, again, it's still a good Zelda game, but like, you still have your Zelda stuff. But back to Tears of the Kingdom, I just think this game is fantastic. I actually think this game gets hated a lot more. I know people are like wanting it for Game of the Year and stuff, but like, I feel like the haters really just try to hate on this game for like, that's because it's a sequel to Breath of the Wild. You know what I mean? Maybe that's just me defending it too much, but I think it's a great game. It got a lot more like Breath of the Wild got a lot of my friends into Zelda. Tears of the Kingdom did that, but more. Like, more people got into the trend of like, oh, well, I'm gonna try this game. I miss Breath of the Wild, but I want to try this game. So, I just think it's a fun game. Like Breath of the Wild, like Tears of the Kingdom, there's just so many moments I wish I can re-experience for the first time. But and this one I just want to talk about. It's one hype moment I want to talk about. The Wind Temple, when you're battling the Wind Scorpion thingy, and it plays the Dragon Roost Island theme from Wind Waker. Oh, what a moment! I was literally on Discord with my cousin and I'm playing, and I literally start screaming, crying because I was just so hyped. Like, this is the best love life ever. So I just wanted to tell you that moment. But yeah, this is my Zelda tier list. Not too shabby. Top 5 Zelda games: Majora's Mask, Link's Awakening, Tears of the Kingdom, Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess. To me, that sounds right. But what do you think? I would love to know what you think. Tell me your top 5 Zelda games in the comments below. And if you have any suggestions of me moving things around, not suggestions, this is my list. You can make your own list. But if you have any disagreements, let me know and tell me why. Don't be like, I hate your list, and then leave Tell me why you hate my list. Tell me why you think Echoes of Wisdom deserves to be an S. Tell me why you hate Majora's Mask so much. I want to know why. Let's have a civil conversation. That makes sense. All right, see you in the next Scribble Thoughts. Bye.